Have you ever been working on a project, had that brilliant idea, and was in the process of creating a new file, only to find that Git entirely disregards it? You hunt for the add command in a feverish manner, but then you realize that the file in question is fresh new and has never been committed before. Developers, you need not be concerned since Git possesses a hidden weapon in its armory, and that weapon is the stash. It is true that stashes are an excellent tool for temporarily putting your ongoing work on hold. However, what if you merely want to store those annoying files that you have not yet tracked down? Is it possible to store them in a selected manner, or are you forced to either commit everything or leave them out in the cold? Well, buckle up, because today's episode is all about unlocking the secrets of stashing untracked files in Git. We'll explore the different methods, dive into some best practices, and ensure those new files don't get lost in the shuffle. Before we jump in, let's rewind a sec. Imagine you're working on a website. You've got your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files all tracked and committed. But then, inspiration strikes, and you decide to add a cool animation effect. You create a new JavaScript file for the animation, but Git doesn't recognize it because it's never been added. That's where untracked files come in. They're the new kids on the block, waiting for their official Git welcome. Now, the standard git stash command is great for stashing all your changes, tracked and untracked. But what if you only want to deal with those untracked files? Here's where the magic happens. Method 1, the untracked flag bearer git stash u. Our first method is all about using a handy little flag, u. This flag stands for include untracked, and that's exactly what it does. When you run git stash u, Git will take all your untracked files, shove them into a temporary storage locker, the stash, and leave your tracked files untouched in the working directory. Here's how it looks in action. Bash. Git stash u hashtag stash only untracked files. Git stash list hashtag check your stash list should show the new stash. Use code with caution. Method 2, the staged sneak attack git add intent to add. This method takes a slightly different approach. We'll use the git add command, but with a special twist, the intent to add flag. This flag tells Git to temporarily add the files to the staging area, like a waiting room for commits, without actually committing them. Then, we can stash everything, including these staged, but not committed, untracked files. Choosing your stash weapon. Both methods achieve the same result, stashing just your untracked files. So, which one should you choose? It depends on your workflow preference. If you like a more explicit approach and want to avoid accidentally adding untracked files to a future commit, git stash u might be your go-to. If you tend to stage files before stashing and want to keep things organized, git add intent to add could be a smoother fit. Beyond the basics, pro tips for stashing untracked files. Now that you've mastered the art of stashing untracked files, here are some bonus tips to elevate your Git game. Descriptive stash messages. When using git stash push, consider adding a message to describe the stashed content. This makes it easier to identify specific stashes later. E.g., git stash push m added new animation JS. Cleaning up. Once you're done with a stash, you can apply it, git stash apply stash at 0, or drop it, git stash drop stash at 0, to remove it from the stash list. Advanced techniques. Explore commands like git stash branch to create a new branch from a stash, or git stash list p to see a patch preview of your stash changes. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, happy stashing.